Hello and welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. As President Volodymyr Zelensky turned a high-profile visit to Spain into fresh defense industrial deals on drones, radars, missile developments, and air defense, he's also urging Britain and other allies to build a new model of security with Ukraine's battle-tested know-how at its core. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss this is Yevheniia Kravchuk, Deputy Chair of the Verkhovna Rada Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy, senior Ukrainian lawmaker, active in peace and media policy work. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, I would like to focus on the meeting he had in Spain. And what does the visit say about Ukraine's shift from just asking for a weapon to co-building the defense industry of the future?
Well, actually, it's been, prognosed, I would say, even years before, that Ukrainian production of weapons that are battle-proofed, battle-tested, it's the future, because the war in 21st century obviously turned to the drones war, the AI war. And we can even see now in the conflict in the Middle East that these Shahed drones that are being intercepted by missiles that cost millions, and the Shahed drone costs from $30,000 to $50,000, just proves that even these wealthy countries are not prepared. And actually, Ukraine has this unique expertise, not just by manufacturing drones, but basically giving an advice in combat missions. Because the MEA drone is not, it would be useless if those, army, soldiers or army representatives in different countries do not know how to organize different layers of defense. For example, when we have an attack of drones, it's not just interceptors who work. Just a few days ago, we had an attack. We had around 400, 60 drones and 68 missiles. We were able to intercept 90% of those. But it's a complicated system. It's not just an interceptor. It's also the radars. It's also the jamming machines. You do not need to shoot down every drone. You can jam them. It's also the acoustic machines that can sense how the drone travels. And we can share with our partners all of this knowledge, all of this expertise, and of course, expanding the production. So in Spain, actually, was 4 treaties signed between companies, not between ministries, but between companies. The companies who produce air defense, but also the companies who want to produce together drones.
Right. So when you talk about these deals signed, there's signing 4 different deals with different companies. How significant are these agreements with Spanish partners in practical terms? Are we talking about faster production, better air defense, or deeper European integration? A lot of these technical know-how that you're talking about?
Well, they're all different because one of the agreement is about mutual manufacturing of drones, and the Ukrainian company is based in Ukraine and is, developing new models like every month because they send them to the front line. Also, one of the agreements is between a Spanish company, Sener, and Ukrainian company, Firepoint. You might know them by the name of Flamingo. This is the long-range missiles that actually can hit, the targets in 2,000 kilometers. And obviously, it's important to open production not just in Ukraine, but for special parts, for expanding the production. It's better to do it in other countries. For example, Firepoint also have agreement with Danish company, and already first factory will be opening soon, and they will be producing, let's say, well, I cannot disclose all of the information, but parts needed for the missiles.
Right now, in London, President Zelensky also calls on allies to build, quote, modern defense forces together with Ukraine using its battle-tested experience. Do you think that we're transitioning to a period where Ukraine is now positioning itself not just as a recipient of support, but also as a very frontline in defense innovation and a supplier for Europe as well?
Well, indeed, I think we are already there because right now, at this very moment, more than 200 of Ukrainian experts are in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in United Arab Emirates, also on the way to Qatar. And it's not just, a person who is bringing a drone with them or a drone interceptor. It's a highly profile specialist who can help design the change of the defense. Well, indeed, the drone interceptors is something that was developed in Ukraine. So basically, I think you're showing them right now on your video segment. So basically, it sees the target, sees the drone, like Shahed drone, and blows it up. And that's obviously quite cheaper than using the missile of the normal, the traditional air defense, but that could cost from $1 million to $4 million. And these drones are pretty cheap. It's dozens of thousands. Right now, Ukraine is producing every month 2,000 of these drones interceptors. We would need at least 1,000 for ourselves because we experience all of these attacks. But we can export at least, another half. Or we can scale up the production to produce more or open productions in other countries. And again, it's not just about, selling the drone itself. It's selling a combat mission, basically a unique expertise how to build this modern defense in the 21st century when there is the war had changed.
Right. Zelensky also mentioned underwater drones. How important is that? And are we talking about ocean capability systems that's merely a future vision or some kind of capabilities that's already taking shape?
Well, about the marine drones, we started with production of these marine drones because we had to open the Great Corridor. We had to clear up the Black Sea, and we were successful in it. So all of the big Russian vessels are away closer, from our shore. They're closer to occupied parts of Georgian territory and also to Novosibirsk, the Russian port on the Black Sea. And we are shipping our goods. So, we cleared out our Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, in brackets. About the ocean drones, the drones can operate in open ocean. They has to be, they have to be more powerful. They have to last longer because they need to get into the ocean. I'm pretty sure that it's very much possible. And again, just a few days ago, you might see it in the foreign media. There was another training near the shores of Portugal with NATO vessels and marine drones from Ukraine and teams from Ukraine. And Ukrainian team beat up all of these vessels. So if it would be the real fight, all of these big ships would sink to the bottom. So it's another expertise, another sphere that Ukrainian experts, military experts can share and should share because, Ukraine doesn't have a fleet. We don't have anything to be attacked, to attack because we don't have a fleet. But we had to develop the new technology of marine drones to be able to clear the Black Sea and the shipments of the grain and other food products and other experts from Ukraine.
Right, so it does seem like these technical know-how and real-life combat experience is becoming more and more important going forward for the future of defense industry as well, and Ukraine is showcasing exactly just that. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.